Good day and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to race 2 of this first FAI eSports Series 2025. And I'm here today with Witold Rozak. Good evening, Witold.
Good evening, Antoine. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. I'm sorry, I see that I'm a little bit lagging with the camera. Hopefully it's going to get better later on, but we've been working on that in the past few minutes. Today, we had race 1 already taking place this afternoon in Saint-Auban, so I suggest that we have a look at the results from the race of this afternoon's race 1. So the pilots are flying from Saint-Auban to Vinon, then going to Castillon, then going up north to the lakes near in between Seine and Saint-Crépin, and then to the west to Gap before getting back to Saint-Auban. The winner is Tess Bastianse from the Netherlands with 143.7 kph. Kuba, our Polish pilots, is second with 143.5 kilometers per hour. David Redman, the Aussie pilots, flew very, very early in the morning. I think it was 3:30 a.m. So we are very sorry about that, but he was there and he performed very well with 142.3 kilometers per hour. Then we have Lorenzo, Kresimir, Arne Martin, Victor, Felix, Masiec, and Jérôme, who made it into the top 10. So congratulations to all of them for this amazing race 1. A kind of a warm-up in this first event of 2025 on Condor 3. Let's have a look now on the race of the day, race 2, so race of the evening, I should say. The pilots are in the air now. You will see, I think, all the pilots from all the servers, because we have several servers limited to 40 pilots for this event. We will be watching a server A with the main pilots. It will be a full server, probably. They will start airborne near Barcelonnette, in the Barcelonnette Valley, near the lake of Serponçon, and then they will need to go up north to Briançon. There will be a challenge at the start. The maximum altitude to cross the line is, I believe, 1,800 meters or 2,000 meters. I must check again. We'll see that in the air later on. Then they will need to cross the Col de Vars, which is a mountain pass that is not easy to cross to go towards the Saint-Crépin Valley before going to Briançon. Then after Briançon, they will need to go from the northeast to the southwest towards Aspres-sur-Buech, so near Serres. And as you can see, they need to cross the Ecrins mountains, the natural park there of the Ecrins. So it's gonna be really nice views there. The wind is pushing from the southwest today, and then after Aspres, they will need to go north to Challes-les-Eaux through the Grenoble Valley. Then the wind will switch to the west-northwest, and it will be approximately 21-25 kph there in the valley. But it's not going to be easy there because the cloud base is going to get lower and lower towards Challes-les-Eaux. So not an easy task, more difficult than what they had this afternoon, but we are looking forward to see what's going to happen during this race. Witold, as you can see on the right side of the screen, we have the altitudes of all the pilots that are waiting before starting the race. I see 3,500 meters for the highest one in Papa 59. What do you think about this task today, going from Barcelonnette to Challes?
Seeing the current altitude of our pilots, seeing that are over 3,000 meters, that looks that the cloud base is going to be quite high, which means that those pilots who are flying quite carefully and stay high, shouldn't have too much trouble crossing the mountain ridges that they've got along the task. If what you said is correct, if the pilots are starting from 1,800 meters, the beginning of the task could be potentially a bit challenging because not very far from the start line, there is a quite high mountain pass to make to the San Crepin Valley. So it might be possible that the pilots will choose all sorts of different routes. If they see some clouds, they may go in slightly different directions. So I think that the race may be interesting from like the first minutes. Because people will try to get high to make this first pass. Another thing where pilots will need to be really careful is to be high after the first 10 point, because again we've got some really high mountains to be crossed on the way to the second 10 point. So that could be also quite interesting if somebody gets very low there. With Condor 3 being completely different compared to Condor 2, if somebody takes too much risks and gets low at 10.1, they may lose a lot of time trying to get to 10.2. And as you said, if there is a low cloud base on the final leg, that's also going to be quite tricky. So just because if somebody is quite ahead at 10.2, it doesn't mean that the race is over. A lot can happen on the last leg, and maybe even some pilots who are behind still could potentially catch up and overtake those pilots in front if the pilots in front are not careful.
Thank you, Witold, for this analysis. We will. Second.
Right, looks like I can already see that we've got quite a few pilots on the server. We are currently looking at Cristiano, quite high, over 3,000 meters. But that means that it's going to be it's going to be a little challenge to get down to the start altitude if it's just at 1,800 meters. But by the looks of it, it seems to be a little bit higher than 1,800 meters. I'm not sure. It's difficult to say from that perspective what the actual start altitude is. But looks like we've got quite a few nice clouds up there. Hopefully they don't just look nice. Hopefully they also produce some strong lift that pilots will be able to use. This time of the race is quite exciting for the pilots because the countdown to the start line opening, the clock is ticking. Everybody will try to get in a quite good position to start the race without being late across the start line and without being too low. I would say that especially the start altitude is particularly important. There is a mountain pass to be made not far after the start line. So people should try to preserve their altitude, stay as high as they can. And having 40 pilots on the server with everybody starting at the same time, because again, it's a regatta start, which means that the start line opens for everybody at the same time, and being late across the start line would already give some advantage to the pilots who are not late. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting start. Yeah, I think that the detour to the west is probably a little bit too long. That's why most people will probably start on this eastern side. Yeah. And another thing is that maybe they've already tried this cloud just before start. So some people may already know that there is a good lift there, and it's a really nice place just above the peak, which is facing the sun, and with the wind blowing from like southwest. This is just a perfect location for a cloud, and depending, of course, on the settings of the weather, this cloud could potentially produce some good lift. Well, yeah, so that's I said that it would be a disadvantage to be behind across the start line, but actually sometimes it could also be an advantage because those pilots in front are usually quite good indication how strong the lift is. So, if somebody is flying first and doesn't quite hit the center of the lift, may actually continue without, well, missing actually a strong lift. So it would be quite interesting to see how this will turn out, because as we can see, we've got at least four people continuing without climbing, but then there is a big bunch behind climbing. Yeah, and it looks like looking at the altitude, it looks like the start was probably 2,800. So it was yeah, it was better than 1,800 would be. Just- so I think that if they just fly a little bit slower, they could maybe even make that pass without stopping. So maybe that's what these guys are planning to do. And there is a cloud we can see in the distance, just on the top of the mountain, next to the pass that they have to make. Maybe they are hoping that they will get to that cloud and climb there. Yeah, these guys have a lot of experience. They flew many races, and I think they're trying to be just cautious at the beginning of the race to make sure that they stay high. They don't make something, a big mistake just at the beginning of the race, because a race like this is never won in the first 10 or 20 kilometers. So they still got plenty of time. If they manage to climb in reasonably good lift, they are in a pretty good position, and they shouldn't be worried about being a little bit behind.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I do agree with that. If you get a good thermal first, then you don't lose time, or you don't lose that much time. And the first few kilometers are so important today that you better not miss this point first.
Yeah, and I think this is the first time when we are streaming a Condor 3 race.
Yeah.
So I think that it would be worth saying a couple of, a few things about how big of a difference Condor 3 is compared to Condor 2.
Yeah.
That's in Condor 3, being careful pays way more compared to Condor 2. So these guys who are a little bit behind and trying to stay high in my opinion, definitely making a good choice.
I do agree. It's much more interesting for us, for the pilots, for the people watching. It's much more realistic than what it was before with Condor 2. The weather is not homogeneous anymore. You can set several weather zones. That's going to be the case as well for this race. Meaning that you can get really good conditions and then you can get some rain or some low clouds or weak thermals, blue thermals, whatever. You can really do some tricky things for the pilots, and they need to anticipate a lot. Before, the weather was the same everywhere, so once you understood it in the first few thermals, then it was almost the same everywhere. You just add uh, a few meters per second of, well, not meters per second of difference, but 0.1 meters per second or zero 0.3 meters per second of difference in between the thermals. So it was difficult to make a big gap when you were flying and competing. But nowadays it's much easier. You have a lot of options to find the best route and to find the best thermals. Especially in the Alps like this, with a huge thermals with the winds blowing against the mountains and so on. It's really good conditions.
Yeah, and it's also worth mentioning that there's also um, other things that can affect the outcome of the race now, like for example the airspace. In a very short history of Condor 3, I've already done quite a few races when I've messed up and entered the, prohibited airspace, and as a result, lost a lot of points or even outlanded. So because of that, the races are getting more interesting because, like I said, is not enough to just make a little bit of an advantage, be in front a couple of kilometers in front of the other pilots, and just continue to glide towards the finish line. Now, like you said at the beginning, there is going to be a lower cloud base on the last leg, so a lot can happen.
Yeah, so they are flying now towards Briançon. They are joining the valley of Saint-Crépin right there. And yeah, the cloud base is quite high. It's quite easy for them right now. They will fly fast. They will enjoy pretty good thermals. And then it's going to get more complicated after the Ecrins. So as you can see, we have a bit of a few technical issues tonight on either my side with camera or with the live streaming in itself. So we are trying to fix this in the background. Don't worry. So we do apologize for the small lags that you see, but it will get better. We're trying other stuff right now.
Well, the beginnings are difficult in everything. Of course, this is, I don't think that a stream of this scale has ever been done, a live stream. So obviously there are some little things that will need to be improved in the future. But like with everything in life, we are learning, we are improving. So hopefully that will get better.
Thank you, Vitold. So yeah, we are always working on that. We worked the entire afternoon to bring new stuff, and basically just the basic, very basic things are not working properly. So it's a bit disappointing, but it is what it is. And sometimes small things are failing. It's a lot of technical stuff, internet connections, and so on. Sometimes it works very well, and sometimes not. I remember once. Well, when the Ukraine war started a few 2 years ago, I think now, there were a lot of issues with the servers and the connections worldwide. It was not working really well. So from time to time we have issues, but hopefully we'll be able to fix that during this live streaming, and tomorrow for sure I don't think there will be any issue. So we will live stream as well the race 4 tomorrow, so same time, then race 6 and race 8 next weekend.
Yeah, and looking at the situation, it looks like Conrado, who started first and didn't climb in the first thermal, he's in front of Piotr over here, Whiskey Romeo, but he's quite well a bit lower. Looks like we've got a couple of guys, Delta Charlie 1, for example, who are quite high, just under the cloud base, which is kind of where everybody would like to be, because the lift is getting a bit stronger nearer the cloud base. So if you fly under the cloud street really close to the cloud base, then it just works better and you can achieve a greater average speed than flying really low where lift is slightly weaker. So I think that these guys over here are in a pretty good position at the moment. They've got a bunch of pilots in front of them, which will act as a little indicators of where the best lift is, and they can kind of control the situation, stay high, follow the group in front. That is a very good strategy, in my opinion.
Yeah, I do agree with you, Witold. It's you're not only competing against yourself or against the weather, but as well against other competitors, and they give you a lot of information, a lot of clues, and flying together makes you really stronger, a very strong group in the end, and then you all perform much better when you are in a very good group with good competitors and good pilots. So it's always something to take into account when you fly those races.
Yeah, and especially in regatta races, it's very easy to forget that you are not really in normal glider race. You are really flying against time. You are trying to achieve the shortest possible time to complete the task, which will give you the highest average speed, which wins the race. In regatta starts, it's not really about minimizing your time. It's actually about getting to the finish line before your competition. So sometimes rushing ahead and trying to be the fastest is not the best strategy to win regatta races, because very often flying a little bit behind for most of the task, just to have those people in ahead of you, that will give you a crucial information, because glider race is just an information game. Whoever can use the information best usually can win the race. So, like I said, it doesn't always pay off to be first, especially at the beginning of the race, because whoever crosses the finish line first actually wins the race, and it's very often pays off to be a little bit behind and get all this information, well, for free, pretty much.
Exactly, Vitold. And what I like a lot in Condor 3 now is that we have the LX, which is a flight computer
Yeah.
for us that is really, really good. And we have the FLARM as well, which is an anti-collision system. And with both of them working, we get a lot of information to know where the pilots around us and so on. We can get the average climb rates, the altitude, and a few informations like this, which helps a lot to make the best decisions for the pilot. And that is an instrument that is as well in real gliders. It's a real instrument that's been converted into a virtual sim for Condor 3, and it works super well. And for us, we've flown a lot before in real competitions. We already had LX profiles, and we've been able to retrieve those profiles that we used before, and we can now use them in virtual with Condor 3. So it's really good. It's a very big improvement for the competitors, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. This seeing sometimes we must say that sometimes looking at the climb rates on the LX could be a bit deceiving, because LX shows an uncompensated climb rate. So whenever if you are following somebody who does not fly at particularly constant speed, for example, while thermaling, there could be quite big variations. But the experienced pilots can look at quickly changing numbers, and they they can deduce from those numbers
Hmm.
what sort of a climb rate a pilot ahead of them actually has. Yeah, and we could see this big group over here, which they are flying quite close together, which is quite good. I wonder if we just look behind, like where the other guys are. Yeah, so we can already see that even just a few minutes after the beginning of the race, some pilots already managed to get quite ahead of the other competitors. So yeah, I wonder what's going to happen later on when they'll have to cross the big mountains after the 10.1.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see who is gonna climb before 10.1 and who will try to attack a little bit to climb when reaching the Écrin a bit lower. I think it's gonna be key to stay high, but maybe they will get a very good vario, very good thermal before reaching the Écrin, and it will not be so difficult. We will see. The ceiling is quite high right here as well, so it's pretty easy, I should say, for any pilot, even for the ones starting flying in the mountains here. But yeah, today is our easier task, but in the coming races, it's not going to be as easy for the beginners in competitions, let's say. So the ceiling is going to get lower throughout the days, for the races. So it's good. At least they can really enjoy today and the very good weather conditions that they have.
Yeah, but I could already, when the camera was panned a little bit for to the west, I could already
Mm.
see that yes, you're right, the cloud base is really high, but the mountains to be crossed are also very high. As we can see,
Yeah.
the cloud base is pretty much at pretty much at the top of the mountains, so it's not going to be easy. I think that the pilots should try to stay as high as possible, to even if they have to climb some more, it being higher on the mountain always pays off. The lift is better. They will just need to spend less time to climb high enough to make a pass. So I can see that the number of pilots is following exactly what I'm talking about. They try to stay high. There's quite a few people close to the cloud base. We can see already, I think it was David Chaplin's Delta Charlie 1 thermalink just before the 10.1. That's I think exactly what I was talking about. He's trying to stay high to make sure that he's in a good position to attack this mountain pass that is just right ahead of them.
Yeah, so the first pilots are crossing the 10.1 in Briançon right now. You can see the city down there in the valley, and they are going to 10.2 Aspres-sur-Buèche, which is very close to Serres, west of Gap. If you are not very familiar with the area here, and they will need to cross the Ecrins, which are big mountains right there, and the ceiling is gonna get lower, let's say, when crossing those mountains.
Yeah, and this is the place where the LX could become quite useful as well, because depending on how much time pilots invested in setting up the profiles, but it is possible to set up it in a way to see a cross section through the mountains, or even have some sort of a general aviation view where the terrain which is above you is shown in red, and the rest of the terrain is just shown in blue, so you can clearly see where the mountain passes are, which are below your current altitude, and which potentially could be used to cross those really high mountains. In Condor 2, if somebody was not using the external PDA and was just using a standard Condor flight computer, it was quite challenging to see what is the best point, where is the best pass to cross a ridge like this. But in Condor 3, with LX, well, pilots have now equipment that allows those passes to be made much easier and much safer.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting in the next few minutes now as the pilots are joining turn point 1. You can see the view, the 2D view with all the pilots with from all the servers here. So not only the 40 pilots that we have on server A, but as well all the other pilots so that we can have a deep view of who is first. And apparently that's the guys from our server, from server A, Delta Echo Tango and Sierra X-Ray Sierra. We have Arne Martin Alpha Mike turning the turn point 1 right now. Do we have his altitude on the right side? No. We see Delta X-Ray Sierra 3,300 meters with Marcin May and Thierry TBA. So they're quite high. I see Papa Juliet there. Hotel Lima 4. So some other guys tried to go through another mountain on the east side of the track to join turn point 1, which is a good option as well. It's not a bad option at all. It leads you straight to the turn point. So that's not too bad. Not too bad.
I think that the pilots had a much better view of the clouds, and maybe there was a cloud street, leading in that direction. And in Condor 3, we've got way more flying following the cloud streets rather than ridges, because again the ridge lift is more realistic in Condor 3, but at the same time is not as strong as it used to be in Condor 2. So now in Condor 3, flying following the cloud streets is way more effective than following the ridges, especially when wind is not particularly strong.
Let's get back to Condor 3 now. You can see the turn point quite clearly and very good cumuluses right there. Really, really good cumuluses. Quite high, so it should be okay to try to reach the Ecrins, but then it's not going to be easy to cross the Ecrins, obviously, as you can see.
Yeah,
with those high mountains.
Yeah, the pilots will have to be a bit lucky over here. I'm not sure what the thermal strength variation, how it was set, but with this number of clouds, there's at least, I don't know, 5 or potentially 6 quite nice looking clouds there. So the pilots will have to make a decision which one to choose. And if somebody gets unlucky and flies to the one which doesn't work particularly well, can lose quite a bit of distance to those who will manage to find a really strong climb. Looks like these guys over here, we've got a bunch of very experienced pilots over here. They started thermaling, so I would assume that this thermal is potentially quite good. And maybe they're just trying to be careful, to just try to climb a little bit more, just to make sure that they don't get too low to maybe catch another thermal further in the valley. To be honest, looking at those tracks, it doesn't seem like they've got a very strong climb over here.
No, indeed. We have the average speed on the left side. You can see Delta Echo Tango at 172 kilometers per hour. Sierra X-Ray Sierra 168, and of course the guys stopping right there are at about 153 kilometers per hour because they are stopping to try to get some more altitude.
Yeah, again, my guess would be that they are climbing properly with something like 1.5, maybe 2 meters per second. It's not super strong. The one turn of a spiral that we can see does not go particularly high, but they are climbing, which is always a good thing.
Exactly. I will leave you for a minute, Witold, and I will try to come back in a better shape.
All right. So yeah, pilots climbing in that thermal, they at least they will be high and in a better position to find the thermal further down in the valley. Rick, I think, risked a little bit going into this valley at 2,000 meters. There are some really high mountains ahead of him, and I am a little bit worried that at this altitude, he will find, well, finding a good thermal is going to be quite challenging. But maybe he will get lucky and find a really strong lift over here, and that would definitely allow him to gain some advantage over the pilots who are climbing in relatively weak lift behind him. Sander also decided to go into this valley. Maybe these guys didn't really have much choice. Maybe when they flew near the thermal where the other guys are thermaling, maybe they just didn't find anything at the altitude. Sometimes just being 100 meters lower, or maybe flying 100 meters or 200 meters to the left or to the right, well, is enough to miss a thermal. And as we can see, just missing one thermal could be potentially very significant for the outcome of the race. Nico is reasonably high, 3,000 meters. I'm not sure if he's high enough to make a pass, but he's got a reasonable chance to find some lift on the top of the ridges that he's just approaching. I believe that the wind is from his left wing, so he's on a good side of the mountain. This mountain is facing the sun, so there is a good potential for some lift, and he will arrive above the peak. So that's really where everybody would like to be. Yeah, Davies was quite high before the first 10 point, and it looks like he's still in reasonably good shape. He's also going to arrive above the top of this mountain ridge, which should give him a pretty good chance to climb and actually make a pass. This kind of situations very often change the outcome of the race dramatically, because if somebody arrives too low and will need to spend I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes to climb, if they manage, even if they manage to climb, they will usually still be far behind people who flew a little bit more carefully and managed to cross this mountain ridge without stopping. Yeah, I can already see that the 330 ahead was pulling up, which means that there was some lift on that ridge. Zbyszek over here is already also quite high, 3,100 meters. He's a very experienced pilot. He knows that he needs to be really high to cross these mountains. It's quite interesting to see that we've got two different strategies. It looks like there is a group of pilots flying a little bit further to the south. That's where Davies flies, and we've got another group with Zbyszek over here, and some other pilots who are trying to use this mountain ridge to get across the mountains. Right. Okay, so look like Victor India Victor is a little bit in trouble. I think that he already had to turn around and start flying in the opposite direction, if I'm not mistaken. Unfortunately, yeah, this is really what happens when somebody does not manage to find a lift before a big mountain pass. Yeah, I really feel sorry for him, because now I really hope that he will try to find, well, he will find something here. There was a cloud above him, so maybe he will manage to find some lift and get out of trouble. But if not, unfortunately, he would need to fly all the way back into the valley, which will be very costly in terms of time and the race result. Again, this group of pilots over here are, everybody's climbing. They try to get as high as possible. I think that they've got a reasonably good lift over here, so it's nice to see that they will be able to climb properly to the cloud base and then cross the ridge without much trouble. Yeah, Zbyszek Zulu Bravo India already at 3,300 meters. And there are some other pilots who I think are even higher, so this is definitely a good climb. Looks like Nico was able to climb along those ridges. He arrived high enough, and this allowed him to just cross the ridge without stopping. And I think that he's in a pretty good position. He is getting a bit low, but the mountains are getting lower as well. So he should still be able to find a climb somewhere along this ridges. Once again, he's flying now in the western direction. So he's flying west. The wind is from the south. All those ridges are facing the sun. There should be some thermals forming along those ridges. Yeah, Davies now decided that he's high enough to continue. He is a little bit higher than I think that Nico was. But Nico is not far ahead, so I think that both these guys are doing really well. If they manage, they will, however, need to manage to find some sort of a climb along this ridge before they head into the valley. I think they've got a quite long valley to cross, so it would be nice if they could climb somewhere along this this mountain ridge. Looks like both Davies and Arthur are pulling quite hard. Davies decided this is a very interesting, because both pilots were in exactly the same situation. They probably saw very similar readings of the instruments in terms of vario, and one of them, Arthur, decided to climb. Well, Davies decided to just carry on. It's very interesting to see how different pilots react to the same situation. And this is really what Condor is all about. It's all about decision making. And at the end of the day, the winner is the one who makes a good decision more consistently, I would say.
Welcome back.
Hello, Antoine. Good to see you back.
It's working a little bit better, but it's not perfect yet. So we'll have to work on that. But at least it's usable. So where are they now? We told.
Well, they just crossed some pilots managed to cross the main ridge. They're already on the western side, so they're doing quite well. We've got, I think, Nico ahead in terms of the distance, but Delta Charlie 1 Davies is just right behind him, a little bit higher. So I think that these guys are pretty much even. Then we've got the bunch of guys just behind, including Arthur, Alpha 33. They are already quite high. It was quite interesting to see that there was a split after the first endpoint. Some people just followed the direct route towards the next endpoint and just flew along this ridge. It looks like it worked quite well. The other group went a little bit further north. I think this group is actually bigger, but this is exactly, I think, what we see on the map right now is exactly what Condor is really all about. It's all about decision making, choosing the right path, and so on. As we can see, people are flying like in all sorts of directions. So if you just think about this guy sitting in the virtual cockpits, looking around, how different decision they make, pretty much being in quite similar situations. That's quite fascinating, and that's what I personally really like about the virtual gliding, and in particularly about Condor competitions.
Exactly. I really do agree with that. I mean, like gliding offers so much possibilities to the pilots, and I'm really happy to see that with Condor 3, it widens the opportunities for all of them. Really, the weather is so nice. You have nice cloud streets. It's really nice. A lot of options for the pilots. So I'm super happy to see that as well on the 2D view, and to see the guys trying stuff on the north side or on the south side of the track here. It's really good. And depending on your altitude as well, you may decide to go to a mountain or another. And look at the red tracks from Mike Papatango here, MPT. He tried to go through the Ecrins Valley, for the Ecrins, and to try to pass a mountain pass, but he was stuck, and he had to go back towards the valley of Briançon to Saint-Crépin, and now he's probably a little bit low, and he will need to climb back and take the other mountains on the south side here, or do the full tour to the south to go to turn point 2. So all options are interesting, and sometimes it's not the shortest one.
Yeah, and
that is the
exactly.
best.
Like we already saw a number of pilots who who were hoping that maybe approaching this mountain, high mountain pass, that they will find the thermal on the way as they get into a valley. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, and quite a few pilots had to turn around and pretty much fly back to get back into the Saint-Crépin Valley to go around. But there's nothing is lost. Like we said previously, the final leg is not going to be very easy. So there are still chances for these guys to actually come back, because you never know into how much trouble the people who are now in the lead are going to get in the future. So I'm wishing everybody the best. I hope that they will not get in trouble, but I've done enough competitions to know that being in the lead at this stage could be quite deceiving.
I do agree with you, Witold. We're gonna do something a little bit weird, but as you can see on Condor 3, we have some laggings and so on. So we are switching computers, basically, and someone else will take over the live streaming. So it may cut, the live streaming may cut for a few seconds, but it will come back. So just wait here, and if your window closes, just go back on the FAI virtual gliding channels and go back on the live streaming. Maybe it will cut like 3 to 4 seconds. So we'll see if it works properly or if the live streaming cuts or not. So stay connected, and we'll continue talking. Maybe we will talk for nothing during a few seconds, but please stay here and go back to the live if it's not working. So we are here. A few pilots crossed, well, quite a lot of pilots crossed the Ecrins already, and they will need to go to the valley of Gap and then towards
Yeah,
Serres.
and I find it quite interesting that people who went a little bit further to the north, they've now decided to come back to the south. I thought that maybe they will just carry on following this northern ridge and just fly along it, because it looks like it's a little bit longer. It would take them a little bit further to the west, which would make it easier for them to actually cross the valley.
So, Vitol, we need to, for us as well, to click on Discord on a new live streaming, because it's swapping
Yeah,
the
I've already done that. Yeah.
the director, and now we are back on Condor 3 with Davis Chapins, and it's much more smooth right there with Davis.
Yeah, and Davis is in a lovely position. He's almost at the cloud base, quite a bit, well, in this leading pack, I think. Yeah, these guys are doing really well so far. And what we've got, is that Pic de Beurre in front of? Not yet, right? Or is it?
Sorry, say again.
Is that Pic de Beurre?
Yes, indeed,
Yeah.
indeed. So they are going towards the Pioli, which is the first mountain here, and then you have the Pic de Bure,
Yeah.
which is behind.
Okay, so
Indeed.
now I understand why the guys who are a little bit further to the north decided to come back, because otherwise they would have to fly on the lee side of this next mountain ridges,
Yeah.
and that would obviously not be a good idea. So that makes a perfect sense that they decided to come back, but they had to do a little bit of a detour to fly north and then to come back. But like you said, the shortest, like in terms of distance, the shortest path is not always the fastest, because if they had some good climbs on the northern side, then that will offset the additional distance that they had to cover.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like everybody, like looking behind, looks like these two groups joined together and they were in kind of similar situation. So looks like both routes, the north one and the south one, worked kind of similarly.
We will see at term point 2 actually what's going to be the results of that. Which route was the best between term point 1 and term point 2. We can get some surprises from time to time. Davis is going more to this side. Okay, we'll join the Pic de Bure later on, but the wind is blowing from I think 200 degrees for 15 kilometers per hour, so it's not that strong, and it can help a little bit on the ridges. In the chat, you can tell us sorry if it's much better for you or not with the switch that we've had. I think it's good, but tell us if you have some sound issues or whatever, if the stream is smoother or worse. We believe it's better, but please tell us in the chat. And if you have any questions as well, please do ask us anything. You have Vitold with you today with one of the best pilots in the world on Condor, and who can answer any of your questions. So please don't hesitate to ask anything to Vitold. I'm checking quickly all the streams, and we are en route to Aspres-sur-Buech with the Pioli, with Pic de Bure there. Indeed, the weather is really good. Like the ceiling is more than 3,000 meters everywhere. But then it's going to get a little bit more complicated, I believe. We cannot hear you, Vitold. Sorry. I was waiting, so you're still muted. Much better.
Sorry about that. I just I had to clear my throat, so I didn't want to make everybody deaf by coughing into a microphone. But I was just saying that I'm really happy to see Davies in the leading pack. He's an American pilot. He doesn't usually get a chance to compete against the European guys. And it's kind of good to see, and him having this opportunity to compete against these really strong guys, and he's close to leading now, so that's very good. I'm really happy to see that. Yannis is also climbing there. He's in the leading pack as well. There's a bunch of pilots who are doing really well so far. Yeah, Davies, he's 2,700 meters. Yeah, that's a good altitude to be at. Hopefully he will find the climb at Pic de Beurre. I think this is a pretty good spot in real life.
Yeah, exactly.
It usually works quite well. We can see some clouds above it, so looks promising.
I do agree with that, and I really agree with what you said. Like, it's really nice to see pilots outside of Europe coming and competing, especially with the races taking place at those hours. Sometimes, often the pilots cannot join. As I said, David Redman was competing at 3 a.m. This afternoon. 3 a.m. in Australia, so it's not easy at all. And I think he's there as well tonight, but I didn't check if he's in our server tonight. Maybe he's working, maybe he has something to do. I don't know, but he's a really good pilot as well from Australia, and it's always really good to see everyone coming and joining us for the races.
Yeah, there's we didn't talk too much about that, but there is a large number of very experienced and very good pilots today.
Yeah.
We've got, I believe, I saw Martin Gettler somewhere, who is a current virtual sailplane Grand Prix world champion. We've got some other participants who participated in the last world finals. We've got Oscar 9, as we can see. Frank is also a very experienced and very good Condor pilot, very close to the leading group. A number of pilots. We saw Marcin May. I think Marcin won some of the FAI competitions in the past as well. Just a lot of very good pilots. Yeah, there we go. We've got Marcin over here at 2,900 meters.
Yeah, Marcin is really good as well.
Yeah,
good Polish pilot.
He's probably a little bit behind the leading pack. Maybe he got a bit stuck passing because again, it was very tricky. Like it could happen to anybody, just being a little bit unlucky, not finding, or maybe a cloud dissipating a bit too quickly. So, maybe he wasn't able to climb to the cloud base to make a pass. Sometimes in Condor, a Condor is luck sometimes, like in real guiding, plays a little bit of role in terms of who's going to win the race. The whole idea is that if the race is long enough, just getting lucky once is not going to be enough to win the race. So, but maybe he got a little bit unlucky and now is a bit behind. But we've got, I think we also had Zbyszek Tkocz, who also participated in the last World Finals in terms of sailplane Grand Prix.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a large number. Please forgive me if I forgot somebody. I didn't have a chance to actually look at the whole list of pilots flying today. Those were just, a few guys that I saw with the corner of my eye.
Same.
watching the stream.
Same. Yeah, we have more than 150 pilots who registered to this kind of last-minute event. So it's really good, and a lot of races to do. As you know, 2 races per day, spread on 4 days, so 8 races, all on weekends. So it's not easy to be able to join us, and we are really happy to have so many pilots coming to race during this first event. It's something to test if things are working with Condor 3, because as you said, Witold, it's the first time we are really streaming a race on Condor 3. We've had one small event or 2 events after the release of Condor 3 to just test Condor 3 together, but no race, no competition. So it's really the first time we are live streaming Condor 3. So we need to see if everything is working properly, and for us it's a good thing to fine tune everything, all the technical things, as you can see, and Condor 3 is really new, so there is a whole new world for the pilots and for the organizers on the task setting side as well, because as you can see, the weather model is brand new. There are a lot of options for the task setters. We can do a lot of things weather wise, so rain, thunderstorms, changing the wind, changing the thermal strength, and so on. So we really need to work a lot to create the task now, to make sure that they can complete the task, all those pilots. and sometimes it's not going to be easy, but there is normally, I think, always a way to come out. And if there is no way to come out of the bad weather we set up, it means that maybe we didn't set it up properly. So we are doing some testing, you will see, throughout the races with different type of weather and so on. But I'm really looking forward to that. Davis is flying towards Aspre to turn point 2. The ceiling is still quite high, and it will get much lower. So now it's going to be interesting in the upcoming minutes. But they flew quite fast. The line opened 1 hour ago, so they flew quite fast at 122 kilometers per hour so far for Davis Chapins, I think. I don't know if you can set the average speed on the left side, Jean-David. Maybe yes, and maybe no, because we've had the takeover from the direction. So and production. Thank you. 145. So I don't know what's wrong there, because I think they started at 21:20. Oh no, at 21:30. Sorry. So it's been 50 minutes. We joined indeed at 2020, but it's so in 50 minutes they flew 125 kilometers. Really good.
Yeah, and as you said, now in Condor 3, the task setting is way more challenging than it was in Condor 2. And this sort of speed, when we can see 146, I think this is a good indication of a nice task. Because again, if the average speed was something like over 180, that means that it was probably too easy. And I know, knowing a lot of Condor pilots, I know that the Condor pilots in general would not be particularly happy about super easy task like this, where good pilots cannot really shine and show the decision making and skills, because it's just easy and anybody can fly under the cloud street at 180 kilometers per hour pretty much non-stop. Well, if the speed was something like 100 kilometers per hour, flying a high performance modern glider like Diana 2, even if it's not fully loaded, well, would be an indication that the task was probably quite challenging, or too challenging for a lot of pilots. So I think to see something like this, 130, 140 kilometers per hour average speed, that is an indication of a good task.
Right. We will see at the end. Maybe they will go up to 170. I don't know. Maybe they will be able to find super good lift on the ridges there. But yeah, I know the ceiling is gonna get much lower. I know it's not gonna be as easy as it was here. So hopefully it will be at around 140 kph average. But I don't know until they've done the race. Actually, when I first created this task, the ceiling was maybe 100 or 200 meters lower than that. And the start altitude as well was lower than 2,200. Maybe it was 2,500, the first one that I tried. And when I tried it, I was like, probably a lot of guys are going to get stuck at the Col de Vars, and they're going to get very unhappy and so on. So I was like, okay, I'm going to raise the ceiling a little bit and raise the start line as well a little bit, because I was afraid it would be too difficult. But in the end, maybe it's too easy so far when I see all those pilots here on server A. But we will see afterwards if it was a good task setting or not for the end of the race.
I think it's important, especially for an event like this, to give even slightly less experienced pilots at least a chance to make it to the finish line. So if half of the pilots lands out during a competition, it's not the best in terms of encouraging those pilots who just started, to participate in the next competition, because they may think, oh, well, this is too hard for me. I can't even make it to the finish line. But, if the task is just a little bit easier, so let's say we've got 80% of pilots reaching the finish line, the best pilots are still going to win. Yeah. But those pilots who are just starting will at least get satisfaction of getting to the finish line and gaining some experience. So I think so far, looking at this task so far, I think it's a pretty good task. We already see quite a big spread. There's these guys ahead
Yeah.
over here, but there are some people who are 20 kilometers behind. So yeah, I think the task works quite well. Just looking at this leading pack, I think that Davies and Arthur, who flies just behind, I think that they didn't get a good climb at Pic de Bear. That's kind of like when I was looking at this, I thought that they should try to get as high as possible, because that was probably one of the last chances to get a really good climb and get really high. Well, we will see how it will go from here. I think that Yanis, I think he managed to climb at Pic de Bear. I'm not sure, but I think that he was a little bit higher. And Oscar 9, which we can now see on the screen, I think that Frank also climbed on at Pic de Bear, which could potentially well pay off in a few minutes, because I believe that there is still quite a long way to go to the finish.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. It's not the end of the task at all right now. It's just gonna get more interesting, and let's see in a few kilometers.
Yeah.
Now
Looks
it's
like
still
there's
okay.
a quite nice cloud street over here, so maybe they will manage, even despite being a little bit lower and not climbing before this second endpoint. Maybe they will still manage to find some good climbs here.
Yeah, it's still quite okay now. I will check quickly the task map, and it is changing. Yeah, indeed, after this cloud street, it should change, and we should have clouds being much lower than what we've seen for the time being.
But we were talking about some guys, but I can see November Yankee being quite far ahead. I think that he's done an amazing job being where he is. Like, what is going on here? Where did he come from? Maybe he's actually flying towards the second endpoint.
No, I don't think so. I think he's coming back from. Maybe he took the longest route.
Do you see there is a path coming from the northeast?
Yeah.
So I think that he's flying towards the second endpoint.
Yeah, I agree.
For a second, he made my jaw drop to the floor. I was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing! How on earth is he like 20 kilometers ahead of these guys at the cloud base?" So well done.
He is at the cloud base. Like it's going to be easy for him to turn.
But I think that he's flying towards the second endpoint.
But he has an advantage. He knows what's going to be ahead afterwards. The slow cloud base.
Yeah, but looks like this bunch of guys, they managed to find a quite good climb over here. So yeah. So Yanis and Davies are pretty close. Well, they are probably leading the race. And as you can see, Oscar 9, Frank managed to join them pretty much at the same altitude. So because of climbing at Pic de Bear, I think that he had enough energy to fly quite fast and to join these guys and join the leading group.
Von Schwitzfeger, really good pilot. Really good pilot from Germany. Indeed, November Yankee is really high right there.
Yeah.
That's funny.
If I was participating in a race, looking at him now, I would.
I would be like, wow, he is.
Yeah.
He is really strong.
Yeah, Nico decided to leave this thermal. He was with Frank and Arthur and Davies in the same thermal. Maybe the thermal was becoming weaker, and he decided to just push on and find a better one, which is a bit risky, but can pay off if the other thermal. Yeah, looks like the other guys have. Well, they came to the same conclusion and are now joining him here. I'm not sure if there's a cloud above him, above Nico.
I think so, yeah.
Oh, there is one. Okay, I didn't see it. Okay.
Big one. Yeah, hopefully get something good. Oh, and we have the integrated variometer right now instead of the you can see on the bottom screen here.
So is that the average
It's
there?
the average integrated variometer right now.
Okay, so all right, so we can see actually the climb rate now. Yeah, 3 meters.
Exactly.
That is a pretty good thermal. Okay, 2.7, 3 meters. That is a pretty good thermal, and I think this, as we are on the last leg of this race, this will now be very interesting because we've got a group of pilots, about 5 or 6, which are in kind of similar situation. It's anybody's race. Any of these guys that we can see on the screen can potentially win the race. And of course, we've got some other people probably behind. Who knows how high they are? There might be some other pilots coming really high and joining this leading group. Now this will become a little bit like a strategy game. They will start looking at each other, making sure that they don't allow pilots to gain too much advantage in terms of distance.
Mm-hmm.
There is going to be quite a bit of strategy going on right now. And probably the race will be getting quite exciting for the pilots.
I think so. I hope so.
Well, I'm absolutely certain of that. This is like this kind of situation where you've got, I don't know how far we've got to the finish line, but this is like the last leg of the race. We've got about, I don't know, maybe 50 kilometers to go. There are no big mountain passes to make. It's just now going to be a matter of who's going to use the lift along the way better, who is going to climb faster, who's going to use the information provided by the other pilots better. And, well, that's going to decide who's going to win the race. As we can see, Arthur over here, Alpha 33, made a little bit risky decision to push on and fly first.
Mm-hmm.
That could pay off if he will find a really quite a few good thermals along the way. He may manage to escape the other guys, but then he's also at the risk of not finding a good lift, and he's got nobody ahead of him to show him really where the good lift is. So that's, it's going to be really interesting to see what will happen.
Yeah, and as you can see, to me it looks like those are the last very good thermals here on those ridges, and afterwards you can see cirrus clouds. You can see that the clouds are not in a very good shape. They don't look really good.
No, not very puffy. They look like dissolving and so on. So maybe maybe people who left this thermal, I'm not sure how strong. Oh, we can see 4.2 meters per second.
Yeah,
Frank. So if this is a 4 meter, they're not on the final glide. Yeah,
average on 20 seconds.
Right. So they're not on the final glide yet, right?
No.
Yeah. So
just to confirm, distance flown 151 kilometers, as you can see bottom screen, and the task length is 255 kilometers. So there's 104 kilometers to go.
They've
so
got
it's still a long way.
Kilometers to go.
Yeah, it's still a long way.
Yeah, they need to climb as high as they can on this ridge. So I am a little bit. Looks like there is a cloud ahead.
Yeah,
Arthur.
It looks still okay there, but afterwards.
Yeah, that one. I think that this is one of the last chances to really climb high. And I think that the guys behind who stopped and are climbing through, they've made a really good decision.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm not sure if they are going to climb to the cloud base, or maybe the cloud will die before they reach the cloud base. But I think that it would be a good idea to just climb to the cloud base at that previous lift where Frank had something like almost 4 meters per second, to gain as much energy as they can, because this is one of the last opportunities to really gain energy quickly. And this is another thing that in Condor, what wins, sometimes I saw a lot of discussions about this, people discussing, for example, how fast you should fly between the thermals, and McGreevy theory, and how important is it to follow the theory. And very often people don't realize that what really wins races in real gliding and in Condor is the climb rate. That
Yeah.
is not really. Of course, it is. It makes some difference to follow, the correct speed to fly and so on,
Mhm.
but that's nowhere near as important as
That's a good
climbing
climb.
climbing faster than other people.
Yeah.
So if you can climb in 2 meters per second while others are climbing at 1.5, that's a huge advantage.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So
do agree. And
that's yeah.
one turn is a little bit more than 20 seconds. So just imagine when you do 10 turns like this, how many meters you can win against the other pilots for half a meter per second more. It's just crazy.
Yeah, and again, especially now in Condo 3, it pays off to be higher because then you've got access to a larger number of thermals. If you are
Yeah.
low, those clouds which are on top of the mountain peaks, they're not accessible. You're just too high. You are never going to reach that lift. Being higher allows you to fly through more thermals, which means that you've got more choice to choose
Mhm.
the one that's got a really, that will give you a really good lift. So yeah, I'm a little bit curious about like what's going to happen because again, Arthur is in the lead, Alpha 33, but he didn't climb very high there. We can see over here Frank. I think he climbed close to the cloud base.
Look at the cloud base.
Yeah, now it's getting lower. Yeah,
There's a big difference here. Is pulling, and then they will need to push. Right there, the cloud base is
yeah,
really changing, dropping.
it is possible that maybe guys in front decided that well, there's no point in climbing to the cloud base
Yeah.
because then we will be too high for the clouds ahead of us,
Yeah.
and we will have to fly around them rather than under the clouds. So there is a possibility, these guys. This is not the first rodeo. They flew many races, so maybe. And it's difficult, to be honest. Another thing that I at least this is my first time commenting a race like this,
Mhm.
and it's a completely different experience to just watch a 3D view like that compared to sitting in a cockpit of your virtual glider and actually seeing the world from your glider. So it's sometimes hard to say why guys have made particular decisions, but the reason for pushing on could be that they've decided that being too high is not a good idea because they will have to fly around clouds instead of underneath clouds.
Yeah.
So they will not be gaining any energy from those clouds. So they maybe decided, okay, there's no point to climb so high.
Mhm. I do agree.
Well, yeah, we'll see. But it looks like it's still a pretty even race. Again, we can see Sander on the screen over here. Again, another very experienced pilot. I think that he's got probably more than 15 years experience of flying visual gliders. I remember him flying in Condor since forever.
Basically.
Yeah. So yeah. But yeah, we've got a nice group over here.
Yeah.
And a bunch of really strong pilots in very similar situation. I'm not sure what's happening behind Sander, if we've got some other pilots nearby or yeah, there is
Not
a
bad.
long chain of gliders, yeah. And this is another quite fascinating thing that, some people may think that, oh, well, people will find the same thermals. They will fly pretty much the same, along the same mountains. So they should be making pretty much the same average speed and fly together. And it's amazing how quickly
Differences can be made.
yeah, differences can be made, and how just one little decision can give you 5 kilometers of advantage in terms of distance, or you can lose 5 kilometers just by making a small deviation, making a small mistake, taking a thermal which was maybe not strong enough. And yeah, the guys who are behind like 10 kilometers, they are just right with you in the same thermal at your altitude. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the beauty of the sport, indeed, and to play with the air masses, the thermals, and try to anticipate as much as you can. But sometimes you have the pressure as well of the competitors who are ahead or behind you, chasing you. So it's not easy. A lot of things can happen.
Yeah, you've touched on a very interesting and important topic as well. That it's a different thing when you are flying, for example, a race when a start gate is open for a long time, and you just see some pilots along the way, but you don't really know who's in the lead. But in a
Yeah,
regatta race like this, you feel a direct pressure from your competitors, and sometimes it takes an additional strength to decide, like to stick to your guns and follow your own decisions, because it's very easy to make a mistake just because some other guys are flying in a particular direction. Sometimes you have a plan, you think, okay, I will go west along this ridge of mountains, and then suddenly you see like 20 people going in a different direction. And then you start questioning yourself, thinking like, was my decision really the best? And it takes quite a bit of mental strength to to make those sort of decisions. And people fly in Condor because they like competitions in general. And we could see, I'm not sure, Antoine, if you remember, but during the last visual sailplane Grand Prix finals, we had one of our guys flying with a heart monitor.
yeah.
Yeah, right. And we had some on the final glide. We had
Mhm.
heart rates. For a young, very fit guy, heart rates reaching like 160, 180 BPM. So that
Which is
that is
crazy.
again, if somebody is watching this, they may think it's like, oh, come on, this is just boring, nothing much happens. But
Yeah.
believe me, if you are competitive and you start participating in these races, it is getting excited, and the heart rate can go quite up on those key moments when it's decided who's going to win the race.
Yeah, it's still a sport.
Yeah.
It's still yeah, at a very high level, a lot of pressure and so on. Even when there is nothing really to win, like everyone wants to win. It's the nature of human. Like we are all competitors in the end.
Yeah, and all these guys, they wouldn't be here if they didn't want to
Yeah,
win a race.
yeah,
That's the whole point. By the way, there's a huge community of Condor pilots who do not participate in online races,
yeah.
who just use Condor for other purposes, for training, for
Mhm.
getting familiar with new terrain, for just sightseeing. And again, I would encourage people to at least try it. I think it's a great fun. But yeah, sometimes it could be quite challenging. And as you can see here, we've got a really big spread. Some people are just getting close to the halfway between the
Yeah.
last turn point and the finish line, and some people just turn the final turn point. So especially in the leading pack, this will now be getting more and more exciting.
Yeah, exactly. And we could see as well that a few pilots were still stuck in the Écrins between Briançon and Aspres, and it was difficult for them to pass those big mountains there to go in the Gap Valley. So not always easy, and you can easily get stuck when you're trying to push a little bit, or you just make a wrong decision at some point. You forgot to climb in a good thermal, and then you're stuck and you lose 20 minutes or 1 hour trying to get out of this valley. So it's not an easy sport.
Yes,
Now,
we've just discussed this before the first endpoint. We had a chat about that it is a good idea to be really high before the first endpoint, to be in a good position to cross those mountains. And those pilots who were really careful and tried to stay high, crossed the crown mountains with no trouble. People who tried to risk a little bit, well, for many, the strategy did not pay off, unfortunately, and they got stuck.
yeah, exactly. Like just not being patient enough, rushing a bit. And now we're going to see if the pilots are ready to change their mindset right now because they're pushing. You can see 220 kph, but then the ridges are not that good. You will see that they are a little bit flat there, and the thermals are not very good as well. So they will need to slow down at some point a little bit to be able to go towards Châles. You can see Grenoble, which is on the left here. It's right in the valley. Right there, you have the city of Grenoble, and then they need to go to Châles in 65 kilometers. Well, 65 kilometers away from Yannes here.
Yeah, and you touched on a very important point. Another that this is it's really difficult sometimes to realize when you have to kind of start to slow down, and especially in Condor 3, because now we've got this ability to set different weather in different regions of the task. Now this became even more important. So it's a skill to know when to fly fast, when you can allow yourself to push the stick forward, fly above 200 kph, because you know that the next climb is probably going to be 3 to 4 meters, so you can allow to fly fast. But then as soon as you enter the region of really weak weather, I've seen this many times, that pilots do not always adjust to these new conditions, and they keep pushing, getting really low very quickly. And then, unfortunately, they get surprised with poor conditions, and unfortunately land out. Now, I was just wondering: is it possible that they're already on a final glide, because they've got 2,000 meters?
Yeah, 65 kilometers to go, 2,000 meters. They will get some help from the ridges, but flying at 220 probably not. But they are quite close, I believe, from the finish glide.
Davies is flying at the end.
I don't know if there is anyone live streaming the race from the inside, just to see if we have an indication from their PDA or from the Helix. Norbert Kiss was flying race 1, but he's not flying race 2 now, unfortunately, so we don't have an inside view from him. I'm not sure. Not sure that anyone is live streaming now, unfortunately. Anyway, Davis Chepins is there, following Echo Yankee and Oscar Niner.
I think Echo Yankee is in a pretty good position.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about his 1,800 meters, so just a little bit lower than the guys behind, but obviously he is ahead. So when they will get to that point, they will probably be at a similar altitude.
Yeah.
So that means that he is probably ahead. Is Frank a little bit higher? Not really.
Not really.
No. Maybe a tiny bit. I'm not sure what's happening behind. If we could have a look at the following. So this is Davies, who is a little bit higher. So I think that he's got some chances of catching up with maybe with Frank.
Yeah.
But there is Arthur on the left side, Alpha 33. He's also at quite decent height. Yeah, it definitely how 1,800 meters. Okay, so
and it is taking another route, as you can see.
Yeah. I'm not sure if this is more direct route or not.
They are both quite direct, but I think he's taking the small ridges, while the other are trying to get along the flat ridges, but the highest one.
We can see that there was a little bit of a cloud street when Arthur flew.
Exactly. Not bad. Not a bad decision. Can you unzoom completely, Jean-David, please, just to have a look at what's coming up? So that's the valley with Grenoble here, the big city right in the middle. Okay. And can we have just a quick look at the 2D view again, please, just to see who's missing, who's stuck in the Alps? Can we have a look at the Ecrins to see if someone is still there or not, please?
Yeah, there are still some people. I'm not sure if they outlanded or still trying to get across the
yeah. I think Mike Romeo 6 is... I don't know what he's doing. He went... Yeah, I don't know what he's doing. Maybe he's trying to help someone. Yeah, he's stuck for quite
Yeah,
a long time.
I think that this guy is probably outlanded or crashed because they are not moving. Oh no,
Oh
they
no,
are
he's
moving. They
moving.
are moving.
He's
Okay,
moving.
right. Okay.
So, yeah, there's always a small delay on the 2D view. Okay, thank you, Jean-David. Can we go to the guys near turn point 2, near Aspre, in between Aspre and where we are? Yeah, thank you. Perfect right here. Oh, Sierra X-Ray Sierra. So he was leading in
Yeah.
the Ecrins. He
Yeah,
was
but he
really
was
close.
quite low. Yeah, but he was quite
Okay,
low and got stuck properly and got overtaken by
that's why.
yeah, a large number of pilots. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Is that 3,100 meters almost? We have Tango Tango 2, Hotel Lima 4. Okay, so now they are living the good conditions, those guys, to go into a lower cloud base. Thank you, Marcin May, Golf Echo 7, TBA, Duet 11, Victor Bravo. So that's the French pilots there. Conrado, the Brazilian pilots on the
Yeah,
right.
Conrado, I think, was leading the race, on flying towards the first standpoint.
Okay.
He was really ahead, and here we've got the leading pack.
Really nice. Echo
So
Yankee leading. Yeah, we can go back to the 3D view now. Thank you, Jean-David.
yeah, I think that we are getting quite close to the finish line. So it will
Yeah.
be interesting to see what's happening in this leading pack. So Yannis is in the lead, 1,400 meters. Yeah, the guys behind him do not seem to be particularly higher. So I think
Saying I, maybe.
that's what it was. Yeah, well done, Yannis.
So what is he doing? Yeah,
Well,
okay.
he's just flying. I think that he's on the final
Yeah,
on the
yeah, yeah.
final glide,
Most probably.
just managing his energy to make sure that he can make it to the final line.
So it was too easy then. We should have lowered the
It looks like it was possible to do a final climb in
yeah,
good conditions and
yeah,
then be on
exactly.
the final glide without. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I was too kind once again when setting the task, because when I tried it first, ceiling was much lower and I had another impression than that, and I raised it up a little bit because I was like, it's gonna be probably too difficult for the intermediate pilots, but in the end, it's indeed too easy, probably, with this cloud base.
Yeah, again, I think it's okay because well, you see, we still have a big spread of pilots. It's not like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
everybody's flying together. There are
yeah.
still guys who are flying towards the first standpoint that are way behind,
Mm.
and I think that it's maybe we shouldn't judge the task by looking at the some of the best pilots how they're doing, and maybe again not only the best but also maybe with a little bit of luck and manage to get some good thermals on the way. So I think the task was really nice, and it's good to see this big group of pilots now fighting for for good final positions in the race.
Yeah, and as some people are saying, we are not here to define who's going to be the next world champion. It's just a fun task to try Condor 3. So it's good if everyone can finish. And as we've seen, some pilots are stuck in the Écrin or are obviously 50 kilometers behind.
Yeah, but
So
we've already touched on the competitiveness of these guys.
yeah,
It just doesn't matter
yeah,
if this race is not important. Is it just for fun? These guys are always going to race to
to push.
win
Yeah,
the
yeah,
to win
yeah,
a race.
yeah, yeah. Exactly.
I've had this many times, like, yeah, let's just have a fun flight. And then suddenly you see everybody really focused and really trying to win the race.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Um,
not just, I'm not sure if there's much going to change over here because it looks like maybe Davis is a little bit higher than Arthur and maybe he will manage to overtake Arthur.
I
And
think the final glide is going to be interesting as well, because
yeah,
the wind is coming from Shal for 20 kilometers per hour, so they really
oh,
have the wind.
there is a
I
significant wind. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. So I was going to say that these guys they've got a lot of tricks up the sleeves.
yeah,
I would not be surprised at all if any of them will pull out some. Like we can already see that the Giannis, for example. Oh no, I think it was just a little bit behind. Davis was flying quite close to the ridge, almost on top of it, but
hmm
Arthur was flying a little bit more into the valley. So we could clearly see that they've got a slightly different idea in terms of where they need to be to extract a maximal energy from these little hills and this particular wind.
hmm
So it's going to be quite interesting to see, well, whose idea was better.
yeah,
I don't think that anybody will catch up with Giannis, right? He's got a decent advantage.
yeah. I think so. Well, the other ones behind are not higher than him, so
Yeah, that's the thing. Frank is a little bit higher,
hmm yeah, indeed.
maybe.
Maybe.
That's another thing that sometimes just being 50 meters higher
Yeah,
may allow you to be in a faster rising air
yeah.
and actually overall will allow you to fly faster without losing that much altitude. So, yeah. And here we go. We've got Nico is also in a quite good position. He's quite high,
Yeah.
which means that he will be able to fly a bit faster than others.
You can see distance thrown. They need to cover 255 kilometers on this race too. 232 for Yanis Ekoyanki. And you can see Marcin May, 193 on the 20th position right there. So, yeah, indeed, in the top 20 here of this server, we have, yeah, quite some differences that are made,
Yeah.
as you said. Yeah. That's going to be interesting between those guys, for sure. There's going to be two fights, the fight between Frank and Yanes at the front, and then between those
Yeah.
4 or 5 guys right there.
I think Nico here is in probably the best position because obviously he's the highest,
Yeah.
and obviously this is an energy game. It's both kinetic energy related to how fast the pilots are flying, and also potential energy related to the height.
Mhm.
So whoever's got more energy, combine more energy, is more likely to win the race. So looking at them flying at comparable speeds, the pilots who are higher definitely have a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah, exactly. It's the total of energy you can use with the potential energy and the kinetic energy. And it's all about this in gliding. Is at 1,000 meters, almost 1,000 meters. Well, we will see.
Did you say, Antoine, that there was a minimal altitude limit on the finish line? It
Yeah,
was, right? It was
yeah,
300 meters, right?
330 meters. 330.
330. So they've got about, so Jan got about what, 530 meters.
I think it's going to be a little bit tight, but we will see.
Yeah, well, but we must not forget that these guys, they've got the glide
Yeah,
computers,
yeah, exactly.
and
Which we
they
don't
they
have.
they probably know what they're doing. But I must say that this could be a little bit deceiving in Condor 3. In Condor 2, it was pretty straightforward. If you were on the final glide, you knew that you are going to make it to the finish line. In Condor 3, in quite a few races, I had a final, well, I was like 200 meters above the final glide, and I didn't make it because of all the little sync that could happen between some clouds and so on. So Condor 3 definitely, promotes a little bit more careful flying and, being on the safe side and usually climbing a little bit higher than you need. And I've seen it quite a few times when people just try to follow the glide computers. The glide computer said, "Oh, you are on the final glide." Then they just dashed towards the final line and outlanded.
Yeah, exactly. It happens from
Yeah.
time to time. Yeah. Nice view on the top
Yeah. Looks like
pilots
Ni
here.
is getting a little bit direct route. I'm not. I wonder if he's got any chances of catching Frank.
Maybe not gonna be easy, but maybe.
It depends how high he is. He might.
Yeah.
No, he's not really higher.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. 683, so 350 meters to lose between here and the finish line. You will see that the short final is quite interesting with the small hill there and
So they will be flying into the wind right now,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Correct?
The wind is straight ahead, like it's a front head wind. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
okay. That's definitely not going to make it easier. And that's another thing that needs to be taken into consideration, because if you've got a marginal final glide,
Yeah.
if you are just, think that you will just make it, just a little difference like this, flying into the wind could make a big difference.
Yeah, exactly.
And I presume that there will be penalties for those who arrive too low, right, at the finish line.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's another nice thing in general about task settings, that even the race it's not over until it's over.
Yeah.
People can always push it a little bit too much, arrive to the finish line too low, get penalty points, and ultimately it end up on a position further down the list, not the first one. So again, the race is not over until it's over.
Nico needs to get inside. Yes, he's turned the reporting point. Let's have a look behind. Yes, and then it's going to be interesting for the pilots in front as well. A good lead from Davis, Piotr.
Piotr is just
Artyom.
getting, yeah.
Can we have a look at Yannis? Thank you. So
Okay.
they are the
Okay,
electric
under
lines.
the power lines. Okay, under the
Exactly.
power lines. Okay, that's
It would be interesting. And then you have the city and so on. You cannot push that much. It's gonna be difficult.
yeah. And I think that we forgot to mention that there was a limit, maximal speed limit at the start line.
Yeah,
So
170
again,
kph.
we never is going to be interesting because maybe some guys could potentially get some penalties for starting too fast.
Yeah, and there was a lot of downwind there in Josier
Yeah,
at the start, so
there was a
it's
bit
not
of,
easy.
okay.
I don't know if what he's
No,
doing.
no,
It's
he's doing all right. 300.
a bit low. 330.
Yeah, but that's okay. He's flying almost 200 kilometers per hour. He will pull
Yeah.
to 330 easily.
It's
Yeah,
really going.
again,
Well
these
done.
guys, they know what they're doing. Okay, there we
Well
go.
done, Yannis.
Okay, well done, Yanis. Okay, very good race.
Oscar Niner,
Yeah, Frank coming.
230. Really good. Frank
Yeah, in the second
going a
place.
straight
Yeah,
final.
he probably knew that there is nobody
Yeah.
very close behind him, so there was no point in pushing it.
And as well in this event,
But it's going to be interesting, Sir Antoine. It's going to be interesting between Piotr and
yeah.
Arthur, I think, because they were kind of flying next to each other.
For Archer, it's going to be difficult.
Arthur is really now.
Yes.
He's pushing it.
Yeah. He has some energy though,
Yeah,
some
yeah.
speed.
But yeah, Arthur is always fighting to the end. He will push it. I
Okay, let's
Yeah, and there you
a
go. You
close
see,
look.
Piotr is pretty much next to him, and there is also and Davies is just ahead of them, and looks like they're catching him up, right or not? Getting closer. Okay. Anyway, we've got Nico coming. I think in what is it, third or fourth position, just behind.
I think third position behind.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think we've
yeah,
got Janus, Frank, and now Nico.
yeah. Can we have the view from behind, please? What's going on behind? Sorry. Well done,
Maybe
Nico.
let's see.
Oh
We've
yeah.
crossed the line. Okay, and now
Oh,
this is
okay,
this
that's
is
the
going
peak.
to be what's happening here.
Okay.
There we go. Okay, heart rate 180, 2 meters above the trees, between the
They have less
buildings.
energy.
Over a bit, they will manage to pull it
They
before the finish
tried.
line.
Well done, Davis.
Yeah,
Fourth
but
place.
what happened? I think Davies. Okay, and then
Whiskey
yeah,
Romeo and Alpha 33. Yeah.
right, very close. That was a very exciting fight at the end, just before the finish line. Yeah, we've got Sander. Now I can't remember, probably in the 6th or 7th position.
Yeah, I think sixth. Yeah, or seventh.
Yeah.
now that you're saying it, maybe seventh.
Yeah, there we go, 7th. Okay, 7th.
Yeah. And Whiskey Romeo uniform is behind with Sierra Mike 1 and SBSEC.
Yeah, again, we must not forget that there were some other servers, so obviously these standings can potentially change because we don't know how fast, unfortunately, we don't know how fast people flew in the other servers.
Yeah.
Ideally, with the regatta race, it's always nice if everybody flies on the same server. But of course, for the safety reasons, with that many pilots and a very short start line, it wouldn't be very safe to have 70 pilots starting at the same time on just one server.
So Jannes, who won the flight, said to Frank Schwetzfeger, who arrived second, "You almost had me. I was sweating the whole final glide." And Frank replied, "Good, you have to sweat."
Yeah, that. Yeah, there's always a little bit of banter going on. You know, these guys are obviously talking to each other as well, communicating with each other, talking on TeamSpeak and Discord, and it's great to see that there are communities, guys meeting quite often, couple of days a week to fly together, to have some fun, chat, and it's great. That's why again I said it on other places over the years that I would highly encourage anybody to have a go, try. It's just great fun.
Yeah, exactly. And now it's quite easy actually to join us. You just buy Condor 3 and you buy a joystick if you can. It's much better than flying with a mouse. And then you can join us easily online. You can even train. There are training lessons in the simulator to learn how to fly, and then it's easy to join us for daily races and then big events like this. We've seen Arthur Duke, I think, crossing the line. Oh no, Bisek, sorry. So Bravo Yankee and Creso, Rastovek.
Yeah, Conrada in 12th position. Yeah, Mike Zulu in 13th.
So yeah, still 162 kilometers per hour for the second place Oscar Niner. I think Janet's disconnected, so we don't have his average anymore, probably 163 or something like that. And quite good. Marcin May was a really, really good pilot. He probably had a struggle at some point today, probably missed a very good thermal compared to the others, and that makes the difference, 10-minute difference almost, when you miss the big one for the day.
Yeah, that we've already touched on it, that sometimes a small mistake, or well, not even a mistake, just being a little bit unlucky at certain points could dramatically change the outcome of the race. And you said how easy it is to get to Condor. I would just like to add that now it's even easier than it was in Condor 2, because because we've got double seaters that can be
Yeah.
flown together by two pilots at the same time. So there are lots of places where people could get in touch with the people, well, other pilots who already fly in Condor. You could just post on the forum, for example, that you are looking for somebody to fly with, or join like your local community, maybe in your country. Then there is probably a group of pilots, meeting often on TeamSpeak or Discord and so on. So I don't think that it would be that difficult to find like a local community, and then I'm pretty sure that if people just ask around, there would be many current Condor pilots who will be willing to take them for a little flight in a double seater to kind of explain the basics and well, pretty much help them to get into the sport.
Exactly, Vital. You're right to talk about it. It's a big improvement with Condor 3. We can now bring someone with us in a two-seater. Let's say yourself flying from your country, and someone flying from Brazil to China or whatever, and you can teach him how to fly. You can bring him along for a race or stuff like this. So we will have a race probably in February, running with the two-seater category, and we'll try to get experienced pilots with beginners. What we're trying to do right now is to build a huge directory of all the communities of Condor worldwide. There is a post on the Condor forum about that, where you can add your community and the links to follow it and so on, so that you can first fly with your with the local pilots around you, and then you can join us for the international events. But we will try to bring the people together at some point, and first we build this directory, and probably then maybe we'll be able to create a page where we can set up meetings between beginners and instructors to be able to train and to join us for the next races. So thank you so much, Witold, for having joined us tonight. You are more than welcome to join us tomorrow or in the coming days. So tomorrow or next week for the next races. So we'll live stream race 4, 6, and 8, the ones that are in the evening at the 19 UTC slot. It was a really good race to flow today. Too easy for some pilots, a bit difficult for others, obviously, because the level of skills in between all of those pilots engaged is different, but we've had a top race today. Witold, thank you so much, and maybe we will see you tomorrow. I don't know.
Well, I'm free in the evening, so I think that if you still want me on the stream, I'll be happy to join you.
With a lot of pleasure, and please ask your questions to Witold tomorrow then, and we'll be there for a race on Slovenia 3 landscape on Condor 3. So the basic landscape of Condor 3, you will see it's a really good landscape as well. Thank you all for having joined us, and we see you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Right. Thank you. Bye bye.